Hi, I'm Rob, and welcome to We Have Been Watching podcast. In this episode, we're going to be discussing Indian's big blockbuster hit RRR, Strange New Worlds, latest sort of Star Trek show, some other bits if you've got time. Joining me is my co-host Mar, and Mar, watching RRR kind of reminded of how me and you met actually. Because do you remember that time when there was that kid and we had to like jump off a bridge tied to rope to save him?
I do remember that. I also remember throwing a motorbike at some invading army and using ropes to hold a tiger back. I also remember having a Desi Nacha Nacha dance as well that time.
The bit when the guy gets the tiger scratches him across the chest.
Yeah.
That reminded me of when my cat scratched me on my arm once.
Well, I actually stubbed my toe earlier today. I'm sure that's the same kind of pain threshold that you get. But Rob, we digress. So we'll get into all that in a minute. It's a big week for trailers, isn't it, Rob? Should we get into a little trailer time?
Let's get going.
Do it. So,
it's all Marvel.
Yeah, it's that big Marvel. I mean, there's a million different things, but I've got to be honest, I haven't actually watched the full Marvel breakdown. But we've got... I was pleased to see this. We've got Wakanda Forever. Now...
Right, Wakanda Forever is a really nice trailer. It's got a really nice version of No Woman, No Cry on it, so it's got a really sort of nice mood to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of sense of loss.
And it is Prince Namor there, isn't there?
Yeah, and there's
like,
not some big... It's all slow motion, all dramatic shots. It's, I guess, some kind of war between Wakanda and Atlantis brewing, I guess. You can't see who's going to be the new Black Panther. It does what good trailers do, which is... I don't quite know what the plot is from the trailer.
No.
You can't get... Sometimes you watch a trailer, you get a sense of, yeah, that'll be the climax. Yeah, that's the middle bit. Oh, yeah, that bit's at the start. And you can almost piece it together with that, couldn't it? It was just some strong images and you get the sense of, like the Queen, like the real sort of anguish because there's a line she says something about all her family are dead or something like that.
And did you notice
I've only watched it once, but...
Yeah, it was like a two-part trailer as well, wasn't it? It had a lot of sort of historical things and family and like legacy and
it's got a nice mood to it.
And then it flipped over and it became that sort of, you saw Martin Freeman, you saw a lot of modern day characters coming out doing it. Who's your money on to be the next Black Panther then? Is it Shuri?
I don't know. Sister Shuri. It would be an obvious sense, but I don't know.
I think
unless it throws a curveball, and it's not.
I think that's a bait and switch there because I remember them saying that. Was it Kevin Feige said that they're not going to recast T'Challa? So is it somebody's wearing the suit and then they get, no, you can't wear that. It's disrespectful. It's a little bit of a fake out, maybe. Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think that trailer's intrigued me enough that I kind of don't want to read spoilers or...
No, I don't want to either. No, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah, that trailer makes me want to see the film, not talk about it, not watch any more clips and just wait and see opening night. I think it does a really good job. The second She-Hulk trailer...
Yes.
I thought the CGI looked better. I mean, I didn't have a big problem with it anyway. When people moan about the CGI on She-Hulk, a lot of people were deriding it on Twitter and stuff.
What do you expect for a TV series, even with Marvel? They've only got so much to spend on this. Yeah.
Do we think Hulk looks realistic? I don't think. He always looks bubbly and slightly weightless and...
Yeah.
He always looks a bit... I've always accepted he's just cartoony because how do you have a big green man look realistic? You've got nothing to compare it to.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great. It looks great, but...
I think her facial expressions are quite good. There's a little bit where she sort of breaks the fourth wall, doesn't she, when she sort of looks into the camera.
Like, what?
Yeah, but that little mannerism that she's like, hey, what's just happened there? That's good because that's like the Peter David comics. And the ending.
Yes.
Wasn't expecting that.
Rob, can I? We ought to have instead of trailer time. We ought to have a thing about this, about the bigots time. I haven't watched anything yet, but I'm expecting all those bigoted idiots. The ones like Nerdrotic and those ones. Did you notice on the trailer they have like a little montage of them doing thing and everything Hulk does, she does a bit better?
Yeah.
Did you notice that? I bet they're all going to be up in arms over that. I bet you. That's my that's my favourite subject. All the time.
Imagine having this, lens that you want to watch the world through and spin everything to some sort of agenda that you want to. Yeah, so I didn't notice it, but my son pointed it out because it only happened so quickly that Deadle sort of rolls on, and I did actually think, I bet they're doing him a bit more CG and he's probably going to be a bit more acrobatic. Like he's in the comics where he's doing massive swings and jumps.
Yeah.
But in the Netflix show, he's always restrained to what a stuntman could do.
Yes, exactly.
And I think they're going to exaggerate him. I think they're going to lighten him up a bit. I didn't pick up on the fact he got bits of yellow on his costume, so it was almost like his yellow and red version of his costume.
I didn't spot that either. No.
Yeah, I think I'll just move him forward.
I really like Charlie Cox as well.
Yeah. I'm interested. That show's not that far away, isn't it? It's only a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
In the Daredevil series, I'll tell you, I could have watched them just Nelson and Murdoch. To be honest, I thought those two together were just a great pairing of actors.
I think they're going to lighten the character up a little bit. It's not going to be dark and angsty. I mean, the fact is in the She-Hulk show,
well, exactly.
He's not going to be this carrying all his Catholic angst with him all the time.
No,
like they did in the show.
Haven't they discussed Born Again series? Rob, do we want to go into all the Marvel stuff?
No,
or should we come back to it?
I'll talk about that another day.
I'll put in our list the Fall. Do you remember that? It's all this trailer. So listeners,
we
watched
together
at the weekend.
Yeah,
and I've watched it again. I'm quite into this now.
I'm just thinking, yes, two girls stuck on the top of a big tower in the middle of the desert.
They go climbing on this tower in the desert, don't they? It's like some sort of radio mast. Something happens and they get stuck up there.
Because I'm genuinely intrigued how they get down. I'm actually intrigued to see how they do it.
So
and if it can capture that sense of in the mission, is it Ghost Protocol, the Mission Impossible one when he's outside the Delhi building?
Yeah. There's a film on Netflix, Amazon Prime. I think it's called the Luminaires or Luminaries, and it's about the early days of the balloon flights. And in that, there's set in the sort of Victorian days.
Yeah, with
I can't remember who's in it now.
What's his name out of Fantastic Beasts, isn't it?
Eddie Redmayne. Yeah, that's right. And that does a really good job. There's him and his co-pilot, who's I think she's his wife. And there's a good sense of height and of. I don't like heights myself, but there's a good sense of sort of. Well, we really are high up here. Some good camera angles, and the Fall looks good as well. That kind of thing. I'm expecting it's kind of 127 hours or The Shallows or one of those type of things. So
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it.
Right, Rob. So we're coming back to Rob. So it's in our notes I've put here RRR Rob's rating and review. So it's
a couple of episodes ago. Yeah, you mentioned this film. You reviewed it a couple of episodes ago, and I didn't really know a thing about it. So it's interesting because when you go into something like this where you know nothing about it, you gave it a good review. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like it. It could mean I could hate it.
Yeah. Can I just pause you there a second?
Okay.
It's like that thing. I mean, I know we live in a different world. Sometimes when you watch foreign cinema to what you're used to watching, my brother was still is into like kung fu movies. So growing up, but we watched a lot of trash growing up, and it was like going to the local video store. You rent it. You don't really know because they're all made to look good. All the video cases look good, and I think it's the same with Indian cinema. We've come into this cold, haven't we? I saw a couple of YouTube videos, and it's a good place to start from there.
Yeah, I think the thing is, you have to be careful that you don't think Indian cinema, therefore everything's going to be Bollywood either, is it? Because there's going to be certain, just like American cinema, there's going to be certain. I mean, outside looking in, you just think American cinema is all Marvel lately, isn't it? It's all superheroes. That's what it predominantly is, but there obviously is other stuff to it. So this, where do we even start with this? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously entertaining.
It's hyper reality, isn't it?
So these two guys and
1920s, isn't it?
Yeah, British colonialism, evil Brits, and two wannabe sort of revolutionaries. One's a policeman, but he's kind of undercover, and they become friends, but then there's a bit of a betrayal, and then they become friends again. Over 3 hour, there's coming and going to that plot line. I think it's worth listeners giving this a go if they've not watched it. So no point spoiling it too much, but I found it entertaining because it's really well paced for a 3 hour film.
It's set piece after set piece after set piece.
All the set pieces are. I was making some notes actually for the show, which you don't have to go through all them in these detail. But you got the policeman fight at the start, which
that's amazing.
Is like, whoa, that's amazing.
I mean,
then you've got the bit when
Robert started that,
guys...
and I thought, sorry, let me take that fight. I started that, and it's 5 minutes in, if that.
Yeah, straight away.
And I thought to myself, right, what am I going to make of this? And that there, and I was like, right, I'm in now because we've got that kind of, it's like Ethan Hunt in the Mission Impossible films. He's just the best at fight, like James Bond. They're the best at fighting all the time, aren't they? And that's what you've got here. You've got that same sort of secret agent or spy or the best fighter or the best scrapper, and I was like, yeah, I'm sold. I'm in.
As you're watching it, he's doing things, and you're sort of thinking, no, he's not going to do that, is he? Surely he's not going to. Yes, he does. Sure.
Fights like 200 people. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just keeps amazing you, and then you think, well, how's this going to top this for the next 2 hours 45 minutes? But then introduces what's his name, Beam, the other character, and then you've got this battle with the tiger. So it's like you say with the Mission Impossible, the good Mission Impossible films, each set piece feels different. It's not just another fist fight or another shootout. Then you've got this bit on a bridge. Then it goes into, and I see what you mean now when you said about how it reminded you of Luca.
Yes.
The male friendship bonding.
It is, isn't it? It's like
then you've got a wedding dance.
Yeah.
Then you've got the sort of betrayal, and you've got all the bits with you've got the bit with the poison.
Yes.
And then he saves a life, and it all gets all dramatic and almost borderline soap opera. Then there's like the fight between them and all the wild animals.
Yeah.
Then you got a flashback.
Yeah.
Then you've got this really intense torture scene, which reminded me of it's almost like sort of end of Passion of the Christ. And actually, a YouTube commenter said about Mel Gibson, the director's a fan of Mel Gibson films, and I saw in that because Mel Gibson does that, doesn't he? If you think about ending the Passion of the Christ, end of Braveheart, Apocalypto, there's a lot of self-indulgence, almost sadistic torture scenes.
It was. So I've had a couple of friends ask me about RRR, and they've said, "Can I watch it with my family?" I said, "Do you know what? You could. There's two scenes. There's the one at the start where the sort of soldier hits that lady.
Under 12 is a bit dodgy.
Yeah, and then there's the whipping in this." Even though weirdly, again, to describe it to someone who hasn't watched the film, he's being whipped, and they want him to kneel, don't they? And it's more and more intense.
It does go on. That scene does go on a bit too long.
But even then it does like a motivational song, and to explain it sounds terrible. But in the film, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's really, really well done.
I think what's a huge accolade. A new accolade now we can give this.
Go on.
We normally talk about the T-test.
Yes.
And this clearly passes the T-test.
Oh, easy peasy.
This has got a level above that.
Go on.
It passes the wife test.
Oh.
So the second half of this, my wife was in the room, and she was like, "Oh, just finish. Sorry, were you watching something? I'll just right, leave it on. I'll read or something."
Yeah.
And So she didn't cut the second half, but she didn't pick a book up. She was just transfixed. She was like, "What's going on here?" So I gave her a bit of a, summary of what she'd missed at the first half, and she really enjoyed it. So she wants to watch the first half now.
Yeah, did she see the dance?
No, so that's in the first half.
That,
So she saw at the end. There's a dance at the very, very end, isn't there?
Yeah, that's after the credits, isn't it?
I mean, things like there's like a rescue scene where there's like a guy on someone else's shoulders. It's just stuff where you just think that's not something you've seen before. The fight in the forest is nuts, and there's sort of Legolas level archery skills going on. It's just stuff. I don't know how similar this might be to other action sequences in other Indian films. I don't know because I'm obviously a complete newbie to it.
Yeah.
But as a fresh take, it's stuff where I feel like I've not seen this before, and the way it's done so epic. It's to that point where I think it's really borderline. I mean, it's clearly over the top, but it's not to the point of like you're laughing at it or anything. You're smiling and loving it and going along with it. It gets the tone just right.
On a review I'd read, they said, now I don't know if this is typical of Indian cinema, but there was lots of like you said, the poison scene. There's lots of pledging of friendship, and you know, I'll give my life for my brother. I'll support it. So then, when they have this falling out, it's a very, very strong betrayal. But then there's a return of that after, and then there's things like it's Ram, isn't it? He gets put into a cell. Oh no, is it Ram or is it Beam? And he's in the cell, but then it's like a tiny cell.
Ram's in the cell.
And then he's doing pull-ups in the cell. And I thought, you know, this is like this spirit can't be broken. It is these heroes, isn't it? Who just, and then they become larger than life as the film progresses. Do you know what I mean? They're just like unbreakable wills.
Yeah, I mean, but by the ending, they do get into sort of almost sort of it is that. To us as a Western audience, superhero levels, don't they? You know, it's like that kind of Captain America, or like I say, like the fantasy, like Legolas. Because if you dismiss it as just being stupid, accept that within the rules of its universe, and the things that Captain America and Spider-Man do.
Well, it's like Captain America holding the helicopter, isn't it? Now, you know. Yeah,
so the stuff that you just accept, so you just got to think this style of exaggerated action-adventure movie, and they're like these borderline godlike superheroes, that they are. That I guess this is just a genre and there's some other films for us to check out. I did think at the end, and I'm not going to claim to be any expert on this, but I mentioned this briefly when I saw you the other day.
Yeah.
We had some lessons on Hindu with my class last year, last year, and Rama, because I recognise him from the statue, which has got the bow and arrow and the long hair. And his name's Ram or Rama anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Though, is it because you know when his name's Rama, but you know when they're chanting Ram to him when they're doing the dance, they're clearly saying Ram. Then is that a bit like Steve and Steve, just an abbreviation of it?
I'm assuming so. Yeah, I'm guessing that's the case.
But his name's Rama, and he's dressed like the Hindu deity Rama by the end.
Yeah.
His outfit is just like it, and. Yeah, so he does almost. It is a little bit like, you know, level 10 reached, XP reached. It's like he just levels up to that point where he does look like the Hindu god Rama. And I don't know whether this is it's clearly intentional, but I don't know. Not being knowledgeable on this subject, I kind of want to read up about it a bit more. I don't know if that's unusual or is that a typical thing for Indian cinema to sort of reference gods and legends and things.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, we're talking about throwing motorbikes and throwing tigers and mega feats of, and this is to be honest, this is probably a bit of a bad. Comparing these two films together are probably unfair. But you know when you watch The Fast and the Furious and you've got a car doing a mega stunt that clearly just isn't possible. It's kind of like that, isn't it?
I think that's a sort of that's as close as damn.
I'd rather watch this than any of the Fast and Furious films. I'll tell you that.
And I can't put my finger on what it is, but like I got sort of frustrated and annoyed with the Hobbs and Shaw movie, and I switched it off when it was on TV.
Yeah,
it just got on my nerves. But why did that get on my nerves, but this didn't? There's obviously something about the charm of the...
Do you know what I read? I heard a podcast the other day, and they said it's because it's so epic. I mean, look at a lot of the scenes. There are lots and lots of extras as well, aren't there? First scene where he has that fight, 200 extras. There's a bit, isn't there, where they... It's not like a romantic comedy, isn't it? Where Beam is trying to chat up the niece of the governor.
Actually, you know,
that's lovely and charming. But again, it's a big city full of people.
It, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Hobbs and Shaw is just two big muscly actors to show neither of them backing down.
Yeah, it's chest pumping, isn't it?
Got to win, all the time. Whereas, can you imagine Hobbs and Shaw then having a little love story like that, or a dance bit in it? I mean, obviously, it'd be nuts if the Fast and Furious films
had like a dance scene. Yeah.
But
also,
like
Rob,
the actors aren't so obsessed with their posturing and machismo. They are allowed to let themselves look a bit silly or have a bit of slapstick comedy. It's like the actors in it. It's like when I've seen people talk about Gene Kelly.
Yes.
And saying, he could write and direct films and he could sing and dance, and you just don't get stars that can do everything like that nowadays. Well, then I watched this and thought, well, there's a stars that can do everything because they're singing and dancing and they can do the action, and they can do the comedy, and they do the romance.
So happy with it, and they're just. It's joy. That's how, I've watched that dance now loads of times on YouTube. I'm singing it to myself throughout the day. It's joyous, isn't it, as well? Because even though there's that guy sort of bullying him, isn't he, with the dance at the start, he turns out to not be like a super evil henchman.
A couple of weeks' time or something. I don't want to watch it tomorrow necessarily because it's a long film, but I feel like I could watch this again, even in chunks and stuff like that.
Also for us, Rob, is it because we're unfamiliar with this? So to us,
because it feels we're
new. We don't recognise the actors. But do you think if it was, our film starring Jason Statham and The Rock, right? Well, both of these are big actors. They're all vying for first place,
and they're both going to survive to the end. And so you don't really know what's going to happen at the end of this. We don't know the story. It's not a sequel to something that we've seen, so it's the freshness does help.
I mean, I will, and I'm only saying this just for the sake of saying it. I quite like the fact that the British Empire were like hammed up to 10, weren't they? They were fully evil all the time. But that's that's fair enough, I suppose.
Braveheart's like that as well, isn't it? Though.
Yeah.
In Braveheart, when they're just like burning the houses and villages and killing and raping like crazy, and then Mel Gibson saves the day.
I mean, I've got to say, this has been one of the best films I've seen for a while, and I'm still talking about it. If anyone says to me, "What can I watch at the minute?" Am I saying The Northman? Am I saying James Bond? No, I'm saying watch RRR. It's just fantastic.
So this is the kind of movie where I would bring this up in conversation at work and just say, bear with me, but you should give this a go. And if within 20 minutes you don't like it, that's fine. Because if you don't like it within the first 20 minutes, you're not going to like the rest of it. But within the first 20 minutes, you might be hooked and want to see this all the way through. So it's one of those films you do want to kind of pass on word of mouth and get some other people to watch it.
Now, we've had... This has been one of our best... viewed episodes on YouTube
it's close there, isn't it, between first and second place?
well, yeah, it's like 20 times better than any of our other videos. But have we peaked, Rob? Although we've had some people comment saying watch KGF, watch some other films. I'm really looking forward to.
I want to watch that. Yeah, I want to watch KGF next. That's the next one on the list.
I think we were saying, weren't we? In my history, I've mentioned earlier, I've watched tons and tons of kung fu films, and that's sort of like all Chinese cinema there. Well, I'm really looking forward now to watching Indian cinema and learning something.
I'm also going to watch, and I think I'm going to butcher its name now. Is it Bahubali, or is it Bahubali? I don't know how
we need to get better at this, don't we, Rob? We'll have to listen to how it's pronounced. But we've got a list. Thanks to YouTube listeners. If you're one of the people who commented, thank you for the recommendation. If you've got any more recommendations, we have been watching podcast@gmail.com. Send us in what we should watch, because I'm really excited to watch some new films. Fantastic. So Rob, Bahubali. I've even just googled the pronunciation, but I'm not even sure how you pronounce the pronunciation. Bahubali. We'll see. We'll watch that anyway. Yeah, Rob. How many pairs of braces in a dance are you going to give this?
I'm going to give this.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
But it is kind of ridiculous. I think I'll play it a little bit safer. I'll say it's 8 throwing leopards out of 10 for the time being.
Brilliant. Yeah, I loved it. Also, I'm a big fan of motorbikes, and I liked seeing there was some classic motorbikes in there as well, which was really cool. So, Rob, moving on from old school to super futuristic, I've finished watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yes, what a great show, what a great return.
Oh, man, do you know...
Right, Star Trek, looking forward to new episodes every week.
So, spoilers ahead, right? I watched all of Discovery. I didn't watch all of Picard. Discovery, I was getting sick of seeing everyone crying every week. Super spoilers now. So fast forward if you don't want to hear. Last but one episode of Strange New Worlds, the engineer, the Andorian guy with the blue with the.
Well, you're not going there with spoilers, are you?
All right. Okay. All right. Well, Rob,
just say there's a sad moment that made you cry.
Oh, okay. There's a sad moment that made me cry, and I didn't cry through any discovery. The last episode I watched today, really good, and I sit there watching it, and I've got a big smile on my face. Yeah, like you say, Rob, you haven't mentioned the cup of tea test for a while. I'm there getting my tea Earl Grey hot from the synthesizer next to my chair.
Yeah, this doesn't pass the wife test. I think very few films ever will. That's the Paul Hollywood handshake of accolades, but tea test.
So it's quite funny actually, because I've got some Star Trek to catch up on, and I've got the Orville to catch up on. Now, for a little while, I've been watching the Orville and saying, oh yeah, this is head and shoulders better than Obi-Wan or a lot of other things. But then after watching Strange New Worlds, Star Trek's back on top, baby. It's back on top. It's just so good.
Last time we spoke, we'd watched the 5 episodes, so very brief summary of the last one. So episode 6, I quite liked it. It was the one where I referred to it on our notes as Save the Kiddie episode.
Yes.
Because it's that classic Trek thing when it's a moral decision where there isn't one answer that's going to win, is there?
Do you remember what they said about original Trek? And it was like, Kirk turns up, destabilises the whole society, then just bogs off to carry on doing things.
Well, yeah, this is what the situation where it's just you can't really win. Then there was a Pirates episode, which was quite good fun.
Yeah.
Though I did feel that the Pirates took over the ship a little bit too quick.
It was quite easy. They were easily duped as well, weren't they?
I'm going to tread lightly on this conversation topic, but you know what? It always felt like Star Trek has been more progressive than other shows.
Well, it was originally,
and its fandom is a little bit more progressive.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was it wasn't subtle with its metaphors in that Pirates episode?
In what way? What are you saying?
Isn't it just like a big trans metaphor there? Or did you not pick up on it?
I didn't pick up on that.
Okay, because one of the when I was reading up about it afterwards, and I read afterwards that one of the characters in it is trans, and I just thought, I wonder whether that's pushed the writers to make it.
I didn't clock that.
It's just when they were talking to Spock and he's saying it's not about what you are, it's who you are. And it doesn't really matter that you might not fit in that box, and you're trying to fit in one of these two boxes, and it doesn't matter if you want to fit in whichever box you want, a bit of both boxes, it doesn't matter. And I just thought, is that?
Oh no, I didn't clock that
allegory. Okay.
No, but because for me,
I guess it wasn't really.
That's all Star Trek, isn't it? And Spock he's struggled with this entire. What I will say is the pirates were a little bit Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were very, very easily tricked, weren't they? It was like, we're stupid pirates. And I'm like, okay.
I like the leader. of it. I thought she was good.
Yeah, she was very good.
I'd like to see her back again.
Yeah.
And the little teaser who her husband is at the end was quite cool, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Referencing one of the greatest Star Trek movies ever. Oh dear.
I wasn't a big fan of episode 8, which was the holodeck style. It wasn't the holodeck, but it felt like a holodeck episode.
Do you know what? I was okay with that. I enjoyed it for what it was. I like it when the characters get to ham it up in different roles. Yeah,
a little bit. Number 9 was
Alien.
Trek does aliens,
and it was brilliant.
isn't it? Completely.
Yeah, really, really heavy-handed. I thought. I'm like, God, you couldn't make this more alien if you tried. But
I know,
still good.
Especially the stuff in like the medical room and the things skittering around on the floor.
And it bursts out their back, doesn't it? And I'm like, okay, that's
it's a bit too much of a copy, but
very heavy-handed, but still fantastic.
It was fun. And the finale's
that was good. And
yeah,
right, can we talk really strong spoilers for a minute?
We're near the end of the episode, so you can do.
Yeah, right. Listeners, just fast forward now if you don't want to hear about this. The introduction of Kirk in there. Yeah. I was really happy that they just went ahead and did it. I think we've mentioned this before, haven't we? Where, have you watched Doctor Sleep? Where they've got actors that look a bit like...
yes, they've got like
Shelley Duvall
look alikey and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't actually think this guy looked that much like Kirk, but I just thought there was enough of... If anything, he reminded me of Jim Carrey. I thought he was Ace Ventura. Yeah.
He's a bit underwhelming, wasn't he? Because I don't know. I suppose the idea with Kirk is meant to be charismatic and believable. That everyone's just going to follow him, and I don't know. I just thought the actor just. The other problem is next to Anson Mount, because everyone loves him, and that's why they've ended up pushing this series, because he is so charismatic and wonderful.
God, he really was, wasn't he? You can't take your eyes off him.
So Kirk kind of paled in comparison a little bit. I don't know if they're going to keep having him reappear in the next season. I don't know. Or was that it? No, not sure where they're going to go with this.
I honestly thought that was going to be it, but it ends with a teaser, and I was like, oh yes. I've got to say, this series.
Yeah, what's the ending as a teaser? I've forgotten already.
They come and get number one and arrested, don't they? And then he says, "This is not the end." And he looks directly at the camera, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." But that might be the fact why number one wasn't in the original series. Maybe are they wrapping things up now? Rob,
and also there was a little Scotty reference in there as well.
Yes, that was quite fun.
If they're going to do that with season 3. Because if they're thinking if they've got a rough outline for season 3 and 4, are they just going to start bringing in some of the OG characters?
They mean season 2.
Season 2, 3, 4.
2 and 3, yeah.
I just think, are they going to think, well, season 2 will introduce Scotty, then season 3 will introduce Sulu, and they're just going to start trying to bring in some of those OGs? I don't know.
I still wonder whether they'll slowly edge it into the is it Where No Man Has Gone Before? Was that the pilot?
It's weird because isn't it with the original series that there was like a release date, but then the actual filming date that they were meant to, which was meant to be the order, got changed around. It never really felt, to be honest, it was never really important which order you watched that first series, was it?
But the very first pilot though,
the cage thing.
Yeah, at the cage, that's it. The Doctor's like a middle-aged white guy. So are they going to phase out some of the characters to try and ease that in? I don't know. But do you know what? I love it. I think Spock is good. I think every character is really, really good.
Yeah, I like them. I really like Nurse Chapel.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
Chemistry flirting between her and Spock's really good.
I like Uhura.
Number one.
Yeah, I love Pike doing his cooking and have his meeting rooms and his fire. Just fantastic.
I think you've got the Gorn to look forward to still as well, haven't they? Because I've teased it. And they've actually held back and not shown you the Gorn, so you've got a big bad wall waiting for next season already.
Yeah.
All set up.
Yeah. I'm surprised, though, with this sort of alien chestburster Gorn thing. It made it more than I thought. But again, did you notice they said, it takes on the characteristics of its host, which is alien again. So does that mean the Gorn will be adjusted to make... Or they're just going to go with it differently? And you know what? This is this original series of what it was, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get bogged down with worrying about continuity things, because if people start saying, well, this couldn't have happened because why didn't Spock ever mention he had a half sister and these sorts of things. But really, you just got to accept the fact that, well, the ship doesn't look like the 1960s ship, and some of that stuff is just technology of the times of the show. That sort of thing, I'm not that bothered about. I mean, I think if there's something really glaring, I think it would be annoying. You just go, whoa, hang on, that doesn't fit. But I don't know really the details, so I'm not overly fussed about how could the Gorn be a big deal if they make out they've never really met the Gorn before.
Yeah. And
all this sort of stuff. I'm not too overly fussed with that. As long as they don't, the only thing I don't want this to do is have time traveling characters from next gen suddenly turning up,
somebody turns up and
or Riker or something like that, and I don't want any Borg in it. Just all that other stuff. Just keep away from all the next gen stuff. Just keep with all the original series references. That's what I want. More of that sort of stuff.
It's great. It's really, really, really good. Star Trek's back there. It's redeemed itself, in my opinion. I think it's fantastic. Right.
In the UK, it's the only. For me, it's the only thing that's anywhere near worth watching on Paramount Plus as well. That's been advertised a lot lately.
Literally have it for the one season and have it for the 1 month for free and then watch it.
Halo's pants. Yeah, do the 1 week free trial and just hammer this show.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Right.
Well, that's filled the episode. No room for bits. RRR.
So actually,
thumbs up. Strange New Worlds. Thumbs up. Two big yeses.
Star RRR Trek, isn't it? So there we go.
I see what you did there.
Dad jokes.
I
Right,
wish you hadn't.
Folks, thank you for joining us again this week. If you've watched RRR and you love it, send us an email. Or if you think there's a different film we should be watching, send us an email.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Oh yeah, please do. We may have had
Subscribe to us on Spotify.
I may have had
subscribe to us on Apple iPods. Subscribe to us on everything. Even if you only listen to us on Apple iPods, subscribe to our YouTube. If you only listen to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Apple iPods anyway.
Yeah, go on, do it.
That's me being a sad, desperate beggar there.
Brilliant. Sounds good. So it's We've Been Watching Podcast at gmail.com. Over on Twitter, it's at WHBW Podcast. And it is on Instagram, it's We've Been Watching Podcast. What do you reckon, Rob? If we get 1,000 YouTube subscribers, should we do the Desi Nacha dance badly?
We can do it here and they could just listen to the audio of it, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm tripping over. Brilliant. Right, folks, we will see you next episode, and we're going to talk about The Grey Man, Netflix's latest release, aren't we, Rob? So, cool. Take it easy. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.